for me, my journey began at a very young age. I was diagnosed at the age of 11 months with neuroblastoma, stage 4 of the central nervous system. The doctors said there was no chance of survival. I was given a 96% death rate. But I was really fortunate back in those days that that my mum, she looked at my life not being 96% empty, but she looked at my life being 4% full. And I think so often in the world that we live in today, we see the bottle being half empty as opposed to half full. And I'm just forever grateful that that's the way she looked at my life. I started chemo on my first birthday. My chemo cycle was 9 days on, 3 days off, 9 days on, 3 days off for years until just before my 4th birthday when the doctor came in and said, Kerry, we're sorry, but the treatment's not working. The tumour has built a resistance. It's taken over half your son's body.
Yeah,
We need to go into surgery. We went into surgery. 6 hours later, the doctor said, unfortunately, we didn't get it. There's nothing that we can do now. I was told basically to prepare to say goodbye. And, you know, as a mother and a father and having 3 older sisters, I can only imagine the pain that would cause on a family to be in a position where there is no hope. You know?
Yeah, because imagine how your mum would feel. Like, obviously, Dean's got a son, I've got a son and another one on the way. Like, it brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah. Well, I think that without a doubt, hope is one of the most powerful words in the English dictionary. And we all have the ability to instill hope into somebody's life just by lending a hand, sharing a shoulder, listening, you know, sharing an ear. And we had a doctor come in. He was from America. He was trialling a test drug on 25 patients. They had 24 candidates, and they asked my mum whether we wanted to be number 25. They had no idea what the side effects would be. But again, that word, hope, is exactly what that drug instilled into our lives. And we started that drug 9 a.m. Tuesday morning with 24 other families. Within 1 day, we were all transferred from the oncology ward to the burns unit. The after effects of that drug had burnt us from head to toe. They would wrap us up in bandages. They would lie us in baths full of ice, trying to prevent our brains from frying.
Yeah, wow.
But unfortunately...
So what was it about that drug that was doing that?
The body just couldn't cope.
Yep,
it was trying to burn from the inside out.
Yep.
And unfortunately, within 1 month, 20 out of the 25 kids had passed away. The second month began to burn my internal organs. I lost one of my lungs, my liver and my kidney were destroyed. The muscles around my heart began to deteriorate. And sadly, 24 out of 25 of them died. And I say to people all around the world that I'm one of the lucky ones, and I never say it because I'm still alive. I say it because I wasn't my mum. And I think I had it so easy because all I had to do is lie in bed and feel the pain. But my mum, she had to make a choice to inject a drug into a child's life that's killed every single person ever taken it. And for me, I'm just so grateful that she never quit on me. And the day that the doctors came in and said, we have no idea how or why, but you can take your little boy home, was obviously remarkable and truly incredible. But what followed that are the words that still scare my mum today, and that was, your son will never go to school, he will never play sport, he'll be a housebound baby, and if he reaches his teenage years, it'll be a miracle. And my mum come through the curtains, and I made out I didn't hear what the doctor said. I said, what did the doctor say? And she said, oh, the doctors told me that everything was going to be okay. And she let me go to school. She let me play sport. I was lucky enough to achieve some great things in sport. I represented my country at the age of 14 through to 17. I went to school. I graduated high school. I went to college in America, playing baseball over there. But as you all know, and as I said earlier, so often we wait until it's too late and we don't appreciate the things that we have until they're gone. And I was living life to the fullest. My world was crazy, and we're playing in front of 10,000 people, and my health had deteriorated rapidly when I was over there. I was only there for 6 months.
Did you notice, or did it kind of just creep up out of nowhere?
I think many people that are listening, and I'm sure you guys too, there's times in your life where you ignore any pain that is brought on because you're loving life and you don't want to acknowledge what might be there.
Yep.
Which can be very scary.
The dragon.
Yeah.
To slay the dragon. No?
So I slid into a base, woke up 3 days later, and my career was over. I never played baseball in America again. I came back to Australia. I got into the corporate world. I worked my way up into a senior executive role. By the time I was 23, 600 staff, 120 banks around Australia and New Zealand, I realised that if I failed fast, failed forward and failed often every single day. I grew, I became a better version of myself. I realised that if I invested in my team so they had my skills, then my role became redundant. And that's exactly what I did, but I climbed the corporate way too quickly. I was driven by the 3 Ps that I think destroy people, and that's power, privileges and possessions. I had to have the $1 million house, all the fancy gear, and it took me until I hit rock bottom in 2010 where my whole world changed. I got really sick. I got bacterial meningitis. I got fluid on the brain. I got Bell's palsy. I had to learn to walk again and talk again. And
wow.
I just, unfortunately, at that time in my life, I decided to quit. And my wife would come into hospital every night and she would say, I love you, and I'd see you in the morning. And I would wait until she left and I would say, I love you and goodbye, because I didn't want to fight anymore. And I thought, how many times does one man need to get kicked before you give me a chance to lead a normal life? And every day I got greater clarity and truly understanding what was important in hospital, because I kept breathing. And I think that whilst ever we're breathing, we have the opportunity to get clarity. And whilst we get clarity, we can really find our purpose and we can start to strive to be the best versions that we possibly can be. And that's when I discovered all I needed to do is master 2 things and my whole world had changed. I needed to master what success was, and I needed to master the gift of giving. And now I understand success is not about how big my house is, it's about how big my heart is. It's about getting out of bed and making an impact on other people's lives, and both you gentlemen get to do that every single day of your life, and I think that is a huge privilege and an honour, but a remarkable responsibility as well. And then the second thing is I needed to master the gift of giving, because for me, for a long time, I always thought the saying was, the more you give, the more you shall receive. But I understand now that the saying should be, the more you give expecting nothing in return, the more you shall receive.
Amen, yes.
And that's when I went out into the world. I decided to walk away from the corporate world. I wanted to make a global impact. I opened a school and an orphanage in Haiti. I got 270 kids at my school. I got 40 kids in my orphanage. And I realised that the quality of one's life is not dictated by how many days we live on this earth, but it's about the impact on those lives that we get to have every day that really determines the amazing life we get to live. Health's been a challenge since then. You know, I was diagnosed again in 2016. They found 4 tumours in my throat. They told me that tomorrow wasn't guaranteed, and I remember saying back to him, that's one thing that we all have in common, because no one's guaranteed tomorrow, and that's what frustrates me so much in the world that we live in today, that so many of us live our life like this life we're living is a dress rehearsal, and we've got another one, but this is it, you know.
We wait too long,
Yeah,
one life.